Hey there folks, Champesk here bringing that audio commentary, and today our game is going to be a orc versus human on Turtle Rock, and it's going to be between Focus and Yumiko, obviously both really big, really popular players, one Korean, one Chinese, and obviously Yumiko's the Chinese one, and they are going to be in cross spawns here, so interesting to see how this plays out certainly. As we sort of talked about before, the forest here is actually pretty good on this map against human, but Blade Master is certainly most common, just because you can do some pretty nice creeping on this map with it. And meanwhile, we do have Focus going for a very centered build, and at the same time, we do have Yumiko going for what's pretty much standard. Sometimes humans will send out an early militia scout just to scout for the close spawns, and if they do get that, they'll send a huge number of militias just to try and cancel that first burrow. And as we can see actually from Focus's build, we can see that this burrow, just in case they were close spawns, is super protected here. It has this altar at the top, and then it has the gold line here to really get in the way, and also it's really far away from the perspective spawn here, so gotta give him the best chance of keeping that alive. And we do see Focus going for that Blade Master. Meanwhile, we do have the Archmage out for, or coming out here for Yumiko, and those are both really standard moves in this matchup. And Yumiko, we'll have to see how he wants to creep this out. Normally you'll go here, then here with Militia, but there are a couple of other options of things you can do. You can try and do a bit of harassment early on. You can try and take a weird creep route to try and throw off the Blade Master, especially when you're in such distant spawn positions. You do have a bit of time to get out of there, and it looks like we will have Focus putting down his food line very early, but not early enough that he can actually do any shopping with it immediately, so he's probably going to go creep out camp and then come back. Actually, maybe he's gonna go creep out this camp, or gonna actually maybe just kill this Ogre Magi and then come back. That's probably his best option at this point. And he's just gonna pick up some items then, but he is putting it down before he starts his tech, which is one big thing to look out for in terms of the build orders. We know we do have Yumiko creeping out this camp, and you can do it very quickly because all these turtles are medium armored, and that does mean that they take extra damage here from the normal attack of the footmen and of the militia as well. And militia are going to be sent back, and actually I'm not sure where Yumiko is going now. Actually he turned around a bit here, and in the meantime we do have Focus creeping out this camp here, as I suspected, picking up that super important Rune of the Watcher, as well as the Ring of Regeneration. Not the most important item, but actually considering he's taking a lot of damage here, it will be quite useful here for now, and I'll probably keep it for a little while, just because getting it so early on is actually pretty good, whereas getting it later in the game, normally it's better just to sell it and maybe buy a scroll of healing or something instead. And we do have Focus now coming back, buying those 2 healing stuff, but not actually buying a clarity potion. That's a quite interesting choice there by him, as a Yumiko now hitting level 2. Is going to go look for the maybe a bit of creep jacking here, or maybe he's actually going to go do some creeping here. He's actually sent out some some peasants are just coming back now. I guess they were simultaneously creeping out that camp there to get him that level 2. And Focus now, is he going to try and creep out this Ogre Magi as well? It looks like he might be going for it now. This one can be a bit trickier to creep out, and it looks like he is going to be, yeah, he's actually popped out of Windwalk. He goes back into Windwalk now, which he needs to do so he can get to that Ogre Magi, and we can see actually now that this other Ogre Warrior is now coming around. And in the meantime, Yumiko is actually stealing one of Focus's creeps, picking up a second Slippers of Agility. Really terrible items here for Yumiko so far. And Yumiko now actually not going to be able to pick up, or not going to have the control of this sword either. So Focus actually in a really good position now, managing to get his Blade Master away. He's still level 1, but has some fantastic items. Has that boots of speed now, which he purchased, as well as picking up the Ring of Protection +3, which isn't so good, but overall with these 2 circuits as well, quite nice items. He did actually sell that Ring of Regeneration much earlier than I thought. Maybe that was just to make room for some items, but I think he could even just sell a salve or something. Would be better just to keep that, but I guess he wanted the money so he could buy those boots. And looks like Focus is actually going to get one footman kill here. We know we have a bit more harassment going on here, but not too much damage going to be done, as we do have this Blade Master now continuing to try and find some more footmen. He has hit level 2 now, and we do have both players about to hit tier 2 as well, so we'll have to see what second hero choices they really want to go for, as we see the Archmage now using his staff teleportation to get to the Blade Master here, so he can do a bit of damage while the Blade Master gets hits off here on this footman. We have a bit of padding blocking here by Yumiko, very nice, as Focus gives it up and goes for another low footman instead. And maybe this footman's going to have to be sacrificed to the creeps here. Actually, he's running away. This is a pretty bad choice here by Yumiko. Maybe he's trying to buy some time, but it is going to mean that the experience does eventually go here to Focus. And actually now We do, very, very nice here by Yumiko, picking up this Beastmaster second. Unfortunately, it is immediately scouted out here by Focus, but really, really telling there as a result. But it's such a good second hero to have because it means you can do all this pressure. Very, very important to be able to do that. And we have tier 2 almost done now for Focus as well, who is simultaneously creeping at this camp. And we do have 2 Arcane Sanctums, yes, and an Arcane Vault going up. So we're probably going to be seeing a tower push. That's normally what you see with this sort of play. But we'll actually, Yumiko's going to come in here to do a bit of damage. Needs to be very, very careful to not overcommit in this battle, though, because really he does need to keep his heroes alive. And keeping the footmen alive is essential, but if you're going to be going for that tower push later on with Zorks, it is pretty useful to have them around. As we do have this Blade Master now getting off a critical strike on the Archmage, but the Archmage still has a fair few hit points left, so we'll probably be okay, as well as having the Staff of Teleportation and the TP, so probably we'll have to be using those eventually though, because the Blade Master does have the ability to chase him down if Yumiko can't get any Sorks or Priests out in time, because obviously Yumiko can't get his Archmage into his base safely without using that TP. And we do have the Shadow Hunter about to pop out now for Focus, who's actually now nicely microing back some of his low grunts, and the Spirit Lodge is about a third of the way done. No bestiary by the looks of it for now, so really Focus been really stood in his tech because of this nice harassment here by Yumiko, but that is going to hurt any push, and so maybe we're actually not going to be seeing a push here from Yumiko. Maybe going to try and play a bit more of a straight up game, maybe even take an expansion somewhere. Obviously this expansion can be taken at quite a significant risk, just because there's 2 huge entrances to it, and ones like this can be a bit more hidden, but once they are scouted out, it means that you are often very, very out of position if they do go for the attack here. But as I say, actually, Focus is going to be a long time without Raiders, so really unable to do a lot of damage to buildings for a little while. As we see, the Shadow Hunter is now going to try and go for that level 2, actually level 3 pretty quickly, but that is going to take a little while. He could try and go up here and creep, but the problem is his tier 2 units are so late that he's not really going to be able to do that with just grunts. As we do see, actually now maybe we are going to be seeing this push here from Yumiko. Yes, he is now going for it. Interesting choice here to go right now before the Raiders are really out in force here for Focus, but as a result, it's going to mean that just because it's this cross spawn position, these militia are pretty much all going to be back in peasant form by the time they actually reach the base. So it's all going to be about the towers, not about the tanking abilities or even the DPS of the militia. And as we see, 3 ivory towers going to be put down now for Yumiko now. And he's gonna he's not upgrading, they're finally upgrading 2 guard towers now. As we see a very, very nice start of this battle here. We see because Yumiko actually delayed his push a bit, it means he didn't just have 1 or 2 Sorks like you often do, but he actually had 3 Sorks, and so that first one being hexed and killed is not the end of the world at all. Speed scroll being used now by Yumiko, or by Focus rather, and Yumiko now losing quite a few units. His casters all being forced away. He does lose his only priest there, but these 2 towers are now about halfway up. 1 arcane tower, 1 guard tower still left. That first tower was taken down. As we see Focus really being put in a very, very bad position now. His Spirit Walker being forced back now, having taken a lot of damage. And we do have these towers now being attacked a bit, but the repair by Yumiko just being so potent. As we see these towers, they might well actually now get up. Very, very bad news here for Focus. As we see, the Sorks are now back in the battle. Still no priests for Yumiko, apart from that one that was killed. And so he is going to be hurting a bit in a while, first from that Blade Master. But the first tower has finished. The Arcane Tower was cancelled, but it's certainly not too fantastic for Focus, because that guard tower just puts out so much DPS, especially against things like Spirit Walkers, which are so fragile anyways. And we do not have these Raiders chasing away the Sorks, but eventually do give it up. Do want to try and get back to these heroes, maybe getting there and hex and kill on the Archmage would be quite nice, but a healing potion now being used by Yumiko to keep that Archmage at high health. And Focus now buying a healing potion of his own. Good go again for this Archmage, but eventually giving up and good turnaround now. Using a speech goal as well. Good try and do some damage now to the Beastmaster. Lots of the Sorks now going down for Yumiko. Does have them really out of position, and those Raiders are so effective against them, especially when they have that speech goal. As we have the 2 low heroes of Yumiko now being forced back. Still only level 2 and level 1 now for Yumiko compared to level 3 and level 2 for Focus. So he certainly does have that one advantage, as he's finally going to be able to take down these towers with his super durable heroes. Really, really nice play here by Focus, managing to stay in this. But the DPS from Yumiko is really building up. 3 Quillbeasts now out, as well as a Water Elemental, and no Dispel Bear now for these on the Spirit Walkers quite yet. As we finally have this Beastmaster hitting level 2, and a lot of units now going down for Focus. This is really turning against them all of a sudden. As we see Yumiko now being able to rebuild these buildings as Focus is really unable to engage at this point. Gonna need to wait a little while. Gonna try and heal up as well, but we see this Quillbeast actually cancelling the salve, and no more salves left. But the Flame Match actually with three scrolls of, or three circlets is so powerful now. Has so much potential DPS coming out and durability as well, which is so important in these prolonged battles. But the slow is just really wrecking him at this point. So many Sorks out, 5 Sorks out at the moment, as well as a Priest. Really nice here for Yumiko, who just has actually very good positioning here, even getting his peasants in to get a bit of blocking now, as Focus uses yet another speed scroll here, but the slow is just going to be overwhelming in a second again, as we see Focus continuing to battle on, trying to take down this Beastmaster, but isn't going to be able to, because that Beastmaster just ran too far out of bounds. But an ensnare and a huge surround here by Focus with his peons, going to be able to force the TP there. The Archmage looks like he got rid of his staff of teleportation, so he was forced to use that instead of trying to bait out a Hex or something like that. Obviously the Shadowhunter doesn't have mana, and there's no ensnares left for Focus for a little while, so would have been possible maybe, but he might not even have wanted to risk it. And now Yumiko still in a good position, but not in as good a position, because that Archmage gonna have to run back, gonna have to find some time to heal up as well, as this Playmaster gets another critical strike, gets another kill there, and gets very close to level 4. Meanwhile, the Shadowhunter approaching level 3 as well, and the Beastmaster is still quite low on level 2, and we do now have this one Raider actually could get killed, and losing Raiders like this is so bad at this point, and he does lose that one Raider, but it looks like Yumiko going to lose Sork as well. Finally, the Archmage has come up, he's healed up, actually bought a lot of items as well. Unfortunately, he didn't buy any more Ivory Towers, which would have been nice, but he is just going to build some towers instead, and looks like we do have Yumiko actually taking a lot of damage now on its units, but it is good to actually maybe be able to keep a couple of them alive. We'll need to be careful. Actually, he does eventually lose that Priest, and unfortunately no invisibility here, as Yumiko now really running low on units, but the towers are going up, so still it's anyone's game at this point, as we see the Shadowhunter actually does have a bit of mana, could use one healing wave in an opportune moment, which could be very important. Actually turns his Spirit Walker back into life form just before using that healing wave. Very bad move there. It would have been much nicer to keep him in ethereal form for a bit longer and get the increased effect there on the from the healing wave. But we do see the 2 low heroes from Yumiko really being forced back, and now these towers are going to be killed, and Focus is going to have survived the tower rush. Actually 2 swords coming in here. Yumiko going to need to be careful to pull back before the Raiders can get into range. The Shadowhunter actually has built up a lot more mana yet again, so it could be in a good position now. Focus maybe going to be looking to do some creeping at this point. We'll have to see how he wants to play this off after having held that off, but having taken a lot of damage as well. And Yumiko not with a lot less experience on his heroes as well, so really Focus in a good position here, having a 4-3 on his heroes compared to 3-2, and having 3 Raiders out as well as the Spirit Walker. And we do actually now have 1 Quillbeast coming in here. It would be nice just to cancel the salves, but unfortunately the salves hadn't gone off quite yet, so unfortunately Focus not going to take any damage from that little move there. As we see finally the Adept training coming for Focus. Obviously he couldn't afford to be building it when he just needed to be pumping the Spirit Walker, which do a huge amount of damage to actually a lot of the things Yumiko had do extra damage to the towers, extra damage to the footmen, and extra damage to the water elementals as well. So really important to have them out just for the DPS, if for nothing else. Also, they can be quite easily saved by just putting them in ethereal form and then popping a salve on them as well. So even if they do get slowed, you can sort of get away with that, as long as you can stay out of the range of the Sorks and the Priests, which obviously can still attack them while in ethereal form. And looks like we do have on this spot having been crap now for Yumiko, so maybe he'll look to take an expansion now, or maybe he'll look to just make another push. He has actually about 3 Ivory Towers, but certainly that could be for either thing. Generally, if you can get by the Ivory Towers, it is better just to use them to construct the towers as opposed to use the peasants, just because it means the peasants are then free to continue mining as opposed to having to spend a lot of time mining, and then obviously also it reveals your intentions a lot earlier, things like that. So normally whenever you can, you want to use Ivory Towers, but you don't want to get in the way of picking up item slots you'd want for other things, or forcing your hero to waste a lot of time by running back home. So it does actually reveal his intentions, and he's actually not using them, which is quite interesting. You can obviously also get the Magic Sentry upgrade for the towers as well, and then you can just use them just as sentry wars, basically, just so you pop them down wherever. It allows you to see if there's a Blade Master around, but when you have that Beastmaster out and the Hawk, you don't need that quite as much, because you do have your ability to reveal invisible units, without those towers anyways. So we'll have to see what these players want to do. We do have pretty good items now on the for the Shadow Hunter. Actually, he does have a push of greater mana. We'll have to see what he gets here. It was Scroll of the Beast, not too good. We'll have to see how Yumiko is going to play it. Now that he does actually have invisibility, as he is trying to engage here as well. We'll have to see if he does manage to use invisibility there for some nice micro dispels going off to immediately take out a couple of these cool beasts down to low health, as we have no dispel here for Yumiko either. So we will be having actually a lot more disenchants here from Focus, as he is going to be taking these down and actually using the Scroll of the Beast as well. Obviously, if he has it, he didn't have time to sell it and buy something better, he may as well use it now, because there is no dispel here from Yumiko. And we actually have some pretty good positioning here for Focus, but actually the Militia being brought in here by Yumiko are being really, really effective, and eventually going to force Focus to TP out. Going to lose that Raider as well just before he finishes the TP, and immediately these Militia being sent home as well. And that battle went very, very well for Yumiko, and wasn't even forced to use the Scroll of Healing, so he's really going to be pleased with that, and is going to be able to finish up this creeping as well. And now has 4-3 on his heroes, and going to send actually an invisible Quill Beast to Ghost Scout, and maybe even cancel those salves again. And actually, there's a clarity on this Blade Master which could be cancelled, but looks like Yumiko has a bigger bigger fish to fry, and is indeed going to be able to cancel with just his Archmage there. And actually, he's just going to use this Quill Beast to try and get some good positioning here. Maybe even he can even get a nice block there on that Quill Beast, really keep it away. But actually, a nice dispel there by Yumiko, or by Focus, managing to catch that Quill Beast out. And now we have another battle, but yet again, actually some pretty good positioning here for Focus. All of his units basically started out right on top of Yumiko's units, and Yumiko's army is almost entirely ranged, so he really, really doesn't want that. Compared to Focus's hugely melee army, and level 5 now on this Blade Master for Focus, so that level 3 critical strike is going to be so damaging, 212 damage there on that critical strike. And we do have Focus going to be able to really push forward now after having been under the gun for so long. And actually this looks like Yumiko's going to be setting up some towers here. This is very, very nice positioning, because it just provides a nice wall to get in the way here of obviously all the melee units of Focus really unable to break through without killing the towers first, and eventually they have killed 2 of the towers. We see Yumiko isn't even upgrading them, because that isn't the point of the towers at all. Focus did manage to eat a Spellbreaker with one of his Coda Beasts though, and that is so, so important, as this one breaker actually being microbacked very, very nicely. And we do see actually a lot of these units are still at high health because of the Spirit Link being stolen, and the Spirit Linking also remaining on Focus's unit. Both players have Spirit Link, and that's just so powerful, especially when combined with things like Healing Wave, like we saw there, and Healing Scrolls, which have been used now all by Yumiko. And actually only one Invuln Pot remaining now for Focus, and no Invuln Pots remaining here for Yumiko, and actually no disposable items at all remaining for either player. Even that Potion of Greater Healing has now been used, or Potion of Greater Mana, I beg your pardon, has been used now by Focus, as we see this continued pressure here by Yumiko really pushing in now, and going to try and take down this Coda Beast before this breaker is gone. And obviously the Quill Beasts do a huge amount of damage to the Coda Beast, but they have so much health to start off with. Nice invisibility there on that Beastmaster, who's taking a lot of damage, and the Beastmaster is going to be healed up a bit by the Priest now, and eventually going to move back into the fight when he feels he's safe. Speed Scroll now being used to move try and get a bit closer here because of all that slow, really adding up. Still, 5 Zorks left here for Yumiko, so really being able to continue to pound that out, especially considering that he does have that level 4 Archmage, and that means level 2 Brilliant Zora. We might see a switch actually into Blizzard quite soon, because we have so many breakers, or so many Spirit Walkers still out here for Focus, and that is just so annoying to have all your summons dispelled so quickly, especially considering that the summons are, there's 2 different types of summons, or actually 3 if you include the Owl Scout, and then also the slows and all of that tend to be mixed up so well that you can get really effective dispels, unless you do things like separating out this Quill Beast like there, like we're seeing right there. And we have yet another Quill Beast being brought out, but it is going to be killed pretty quickly here, and we can see this Coda Beast has now finished devouring that one breaker, as we see Focus actually taking a lot of damage now on his Blade Master. Does need to be careful with that, and he's going to push forward yet again, but he does have his entire army slowed, and it looks like he's running very low on mana on his Spirit Walkers, so actually he has very few dispels left over now. But we do now have Yumiko continuing to do some nice fighting, doing a bit of damage here, and just managing to get away basically. He never actually took an expansion, and now actually the creeps being awakened, and getting off a couple hits here. Actually one of these turtles staying awake, and is going to get off a couple more hits here off on this grunt, and actually it looks like this is going to be a a cue for Focus to now try and take out this creep camp. And this is something that Yumiko is immediately seeing, and he's going to let it happen. Actually, maybe going to let the turtles do as much damage as possible before eventually coming in to try and do some damage of his own. Because obviously he doesn't want to be fighting with the turtles in the middle, because then he might start taking damage, and also he can't get his unit into the position that he wants to without being really at risk of taking that huge damage from the turtles, considering that the smaller sea turtles even do piercing damage, which is really effective against most of Yumiko's army there. So Yumiko actually forced to not engage, and we do have a greater invuln pot, fantastic item here on this almost level 6 Blade Master now, and Yumiko now going to creep out this camp, but obviously Focus, even if you didn't have his Blade Master here, does have this ward here, which provides him all the information he needs, as well as the ability to spot any invisible units that Yumiko wants to make there. And we do have Yumiko now retraining the Blizzard there, and actually one of those priests did get caught out there by the ensnare, and so was taken down, and this Hawk actually just staying right over Focus's army. Focus not trying to take it down though, and looks like we do have, yes, Blizzard now finally being used, but immediately actually Yumiko cancels it, and then is ensnared, and actually now put in a bad position, being forced to use an invuln pot very early on in this battle, and needs to pull back yet again, but probably going to be able to use a lot more Blizzard. There he goes yet again. Obviously he can afford to be tanking on the Breakers because they don't take any damage from the Blizzard, but he can't be taking it on the Sorks, so that's just, the Sorks don't have enough hit points to start off with to be doing that. Actually one peasant being caught out there, another militia being caught a bit behind, and these Breakers now just managing to funnel in this small position to act as reinforcements there without being really out of position. There's a nice play here by Yumiko as he's focusing Focus back yet again. Actually his heroes are a bit separated now from his army, so he does need to be careful with how he engages now, but he is moving in very nicely, and a lot of militia being brought in here by Yumiko. This is not a good battle now for Focus, and Focus realizes it and immediately TPs out with his almost level 6 Shadow Hunter now, and so close to level 6 on his Blade Master. Blade Master has some pretty nice items as well. Picked up a Scroll of Healing on top of those 3 circlets, which have just been so fantastic. And now we see these militia now just being sent to mine here because the main mines have run out, and we do have Focus taking expansion of his own, but we'll have to see if that's something that Yumiko's going to allow, because really as soon as he realizes what's going on, and it looks like he's already realized he does need to push because he doesn't have an expansion even started for him, and this is really nice by Focus, because it means that even if he cancels the expansion, he's sort of forced Yumiko to go into a bad position, but it looks like he's going to let the expansion finish, and instead just going to try and fight out here. And if Focus can win this battle, he wins the game. But if he loses this battle, if he closely loses this battle, he might sort of fall back in terms of having income compared to no income for Yumiko. And we do have invisibility immediately being used on this Archmage being forced back, and we have the speed scroll being used by Focus. He's just pushing forward so much. A lot of these Breakers really being caught out here, but it's going to allow for some fantastic Blizzards now by Yumiko, really doing so much damage, which is only level 4 on this Archmage. Really been so behind it, experienced 260 damage on that critical there by Focus, who's now hit level 6 on this Blade Master, and the Shadow Hunter now actually being put in a pretty bad position, being surrounded by the Breakers now. Actually, just had a small window there to get out, and it looks like we do have yet more pushing forward here by Focus, and the heroes of Yumiko need to be so careful because there's just so much potential damage coming out, and obviously using Blizzard incapacitates the Archmage for a significant period of time, as the Archmage now gets caught out with no invuln bot and does get taken out so quickly there, as we have this Shadow Hunter now hitting level 6 and immediately popping his invuln bot just to get out of that bad position around Breakers. And looks like we do finally have the GG there from Yumiko, who despite being so far ahead was just constantly rebuffed by Focus until eventually Focus managed to take it with his fantastic hero levels and a very nice army control as well. So I hope you enjoyed that game, folks. Really nice, so action packed, and so close right till the end. And I'll try and bring you some more games in the near future. Thanks for watching as ever, folks.